Thank you for tuning back into Crime Time Podcast. And what you're seeing right here is a very tragic, eerie mystery that's ongoing right now. This woman is a model, a streamer. I believe she owned a salon or worked at a salon. I think she owned it. Valeria Marquez, 23. There's varying reports on her age, 23 or 21. She's from Mexico and was killed in Mexico like moments after what you're seeing right here. For those, comment if you remember Indian Red Boy. Not necessarily something that maybe was in the true crime world, but a young man from LA who was involved in the streets. And I'm sure everyone, even if you're not into hip hop, you're aware of who Nipsey Hussle is and how he was killed. And the young man had defaced like Nipsey Hussle mural, something to honor him. I believe they kicked over candles, him and his friends, and defaced it. And not too long after it, he was killed on a live stream. That's what kind of made me think of it. It's just so shocking and just brutal to see someone lose their life on live like that. In this video, obviously, I'm not having that in this video, that footage, but it is indeed out there. It's brutal, it's gruesome, it's just so eerie and creepy. As this happened about like 3 weeks ago, and no arrests have been made yet.
A TikTok live stream ended in terror when a 23-year-old beauty influencer was shot dead on camera at her salon in western Mexico. Valeria Marquez had thousands of followers on social media, where just moments before her death, she showed off a stuffed animal that was delivered to her. Then, in her final few seconds, she is seen looking into the distance right before she is shot dead. Jalisco state authorities said a man entered her salon and fired at her, and she had no vital signs when medics arrived. The suspects have yet to be identified, but the case is being investigated as a suspected femicide. A rampant problem in Mexico, a country that has seen staggering level of violence against women and girls.
So she was live. I was showing off this piglet stuffed animal that she got, I believe, as a gift. And there's something eerie about that with other reports that are coming out, as well as you hear this is being investigated as a femicide, which maybe I sound ignorant or whatever. I didn't really know that that was a thing, you know, but it's something that's got to be put out there in awareness. Certain aspects of femicide in this case and the investigation and everything is a bit confusing to me. So everyone, comment below and share your thoughts. Fill me in on stuff if you know I'm incorrect or you have additional information or whatever. That's what this channel is all about, just talking with all you guys, the people out there, about these cases, society, life, the world, etc. Make sure to subscribe, hit the buttons. But yeah, she's just showing off this piglet. He's a little piglet, right? The 23-year-old beauty influencer exclaimed as she returned to her viewers and unwrapped the stuffed animal, smiling as she tossed her blonde hair over her shoulder. Moments later, she was DEAD, slumped over in her chair with blood pooling on the desk in front of her. Even as the live stream continued, someone picked up the phone and the live ended like that. And I'm thinking that it's the person who killed her. There's varying reports. So there's the report there that one person had shown up before early in the day and asked for her. But then there's additional reports that are saying it was two people. As you see, it says, till now, the investigation into the MURD3R3D of Mexican influencer Valeria Marquez remains active, with authorities pursuing multiple leads. Femicide Protocol, the Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office, is treating the case as a femicide, indicating that the crime was motivated by gender-based violence. And like I said, some aspects of femicide and is essentially people just hating women, killing based on just gender. And this case, there's theories that it could be an ex, and just in general, in regards to femicide, which, like I said, maybe I sound stupid. didn't really realize that that was a thing. Obviously, I knew that women get killed just like men or anyone else, but I just didn't realize that there were people that the killing is motivated strictly by gender, like women haters, I guess. It's so twisted and bugged out. I mean, what's wrong with people, you know? And what was confusing though too is that they classify a lot of like exes or current boyfriends, KILLING, women, as femicides, which that's kind of confusing me, right? Because it's like, yes, it's someone twisted and I don't know, relationship problems or whatever, as that happens all the time. It's sad but true. You know, I'm not saying it's understandable, but I mean, I think everyone is understandable that that happens because it's just something that's been happening forever. Husbands offing wives, wives offing husbands, etc. But I don't know. In a case where it's like that, it doesn't seem, as far as the criteria of offing someone because strictly of their gender, but I guess it gets put into that category statistically, which the numbers in Mexico are pretty high. And like I said, this is a big thing. Awareness of femicide is trying to be, you know, amplified and get out there of how common it is. And we'll talk more about that momentarily. But suspect behavior. Prior to the shooting, two men, one posing as a delivery driver with an expensive gift, approached the salon asking for Marquez. Their suspicious behavior, including returning shortly afterward to confirm her presence before the SHOOTING, led investigators to suspect a contract, KILLING. Now, again, this is a varying report. You know, I'm not saying it's 100%, but everyone, like I said, comment if you've been following the case, your thoughts. Other reports, all the reports have said someone showed up asking for her at the salon, but this, as there being two and one being a delivery driver, I don't believe I heard that in the other reports. And that's kind of crazy. As we know, she opened a gift that was Piglet, which was one of the last things basically she said upon being just offed on her live. And again, someone picks up the phone and ends the live. It's just so chilling, and you can see a shadow on the wall of the person. And it's kind of crazy too, in a lot of different gifs and imagery that I have in this video that you'll see about femicide, the art of it or whatever, you know, as they make symbols and logos and stuff like that to artistically express something, shows women like a man's shadow encapsulating or covering a woman, and you know, like how women fall victim to these sick men that want to hurt them because they're women. Again, like that's just so crazy and sickening to me that all crime, you know, in people losing their lives and everything, it's all horrific, but I just didn't realize this was a thing to that extent. But I was just pointing out, it was just kind of wild that the artwork shows that with the shadows, and you see a shadow on a wall. And again, essentially, I believe that's the person who picks up the phone, and there is a face. So I don't know, as there's not a lot of really updates going on at this point, if police know who that person is or they've caught up with them or what. Obviously, this is Mexico, the authorities and stuff, I believe it works a little different in the media as well. It's just like a lot of wild stuff going on in Mexico. Cartel wars. I'm going to have a clip at the end of this unrelated to what we're talking about here, but just kind of to speak about the cartel wars, how there were alliances that were broken with that, and a war going on that in the past where women and children were off limits. You know what I mean? There was supposed to be, hey, we just take out each other. Civilians, especially women and children, they don't get hurt. It's like that's out the window now because the alliances are broken. It's just like an all-out war, like the Wild West, and bodies are dropping, to just put it bluntly. Like that's just what's going on. So again, I'll have a clip at the end about that, about the cartel. And, you know, they're saying Trump is putting a lot of pressure on them with tariffs and different tactics and policies on that side of the border. Some are saying that that's working. They also have a new president who is like real proactive in trying to arrest cartel members, and I think has arrested almost 2,000 since being in power, I believe. Don't quote me on that number, but they've been real active trying to stop the cartels, where I guess the previous president, the media you'll hear describes them as having a hugs relationship with the cartels. Like, I guess maybe out of fear, or maybe they were in bed with them business wise. For whatever reason, they show love to the cartel. And it's just crazy to me. You know, I'm not from Mexico, but that's stuff that we see depicted in movies and pop culture and things like that. Now, obviously, movies are fiction. Some are based on true stories, based on actual events. But I mean, come on, man. We know that there's a lot of leeway and liberty people take when something is based on a true story. They switch up an awful lot. But there's also things in regards to movies and stuff like that that really is somewhat kind of real, or based on real instances where it is somewhat accurate. And I don't know, that's always something that's been displayed in Mexico. Me looking at it as an American. And once again, I don't claim to be any expert. We're just talking about all this. So anyone from Mexico, whatever, like, comment. What's it like over there with cartels and the authorities and police? You know, are a lot of them in bed with the cartel, doing business with them, or do they fear them and they just let them do what they do? Like, let's discuss that. I'm intrigued to know, you know what I mean? Because you don't realize how different another country is. And anyone out there, if this has happened to you, like, let's discuss it. Again, that's what we do, is talk about it all. Any aspect of the video, let's talk. You know, hit the like, hit the subscribe, but I always say, more importantly, hit the comments. You'll think a country is one way from how it's been portrayed in the news or movies or TV or whatever, and then you go there and things can be very different. So anyone on the Mexican side of the border, or you used to live there, like, you know, don't be shy, let's talk. Yeah, but they're saying a contract killing, you know. And then, like I was telling you, there's also a theory that an ex had something to do with this. Potential links to organized crime. Authorities are exploring possible connections between Marquez, MURD3R, and that of a former congressman killed hours earlier in Guadalajara. Both incidents involved motorcycle-based attacks, a method commonly associated with organized crime in the region. And that person that we're talking about that was also killed on a Facebook Live was Mexican mayoral candidate running to be a mayor, gunned down during live broadcast of campaign rally. This happened right around the same time. It says the death of Marquez, a public figure with more than 100,000 IG followers, has sent shockwaves through a country that has long struggled with high levels of both homicide and violence against women. This person that was KILLED, her name was Yesenia Lara Gutierrez. A Facebook live stream captured the horror of that day. It showed Gutierrez greeting residents as she paraded through the streets of Texas-Tepic, surrounded by a caravan of supporters. So she's out there smiling, waving. Her political supporters are out there. And then the crowd was seen smiling, chanting before GUN fire suddenly rang out off camera, drowning out their cheers. About 20 GUN shots were heard in the video, which was still available on Lara's Facebook page the following day. That's always crazy to me when horrific stuff happens on live, how that still is up. Like, obviously stuff like that is going to get snatched up. Like I was talking about Indian Red Boy, that still exists because people are going to snatch it up and repost it places. But I'm talking about sometimes on the main app that it's on, a big app. Like, this is on Facebook. It was available the next day. That's just kind of crazy to me. I don't understand it. But then some people, you say the F word too many times and they'll pull down some content or something. I just don't understand it. But with this mayoral candidate being GUN'd down right when this happens as well, it's really just has the media speaking a lot about this femicide awareness. Now, with that, check this out, like the numbers are up, right? There were 847 reported cases of femicide nationwide last year. This is in Mexico. And 162 in the first 3 months, the first quarter of the year. Mexico's response to homicides in general is severely wanting, according to rights groups who say too few investigations lead to prosecution. So again, I'm not familiar with Mexico, and I want to hear from anyone out there, but I constantly hear that the authorities produce results like that, you know, for whatever reason. In 2022, around 4,000 women were KILLED'd in Mexico, which amounts to 12% of all homicides that year. Human Rights Watch America's director Juanita Gobertas told CNN, quote, and the rate of cases that lead to a verdict is around 67%. The main challenge, Goberta said, is increasing authorities' capacity to investigate and protect witnesses and victims. So you're hearing about cartels. The authorities aren't really too strong, don't have a presence like that. I mean, like, people are afraid to talk, or people are getting off, it sounds like. I mean, right here, the director of this human rights group is saying the people aren't safe, right? They're not protected. But in regards to this case, though, that, like, those are some staggering numbers with the femicide, and you'll see some different stuff popping up about it. I might not go over everything, but it just talks about the different types of femicide. And you know, because like I said, it's just like, damn, I understand in this world the horrific things that happen, you know, people off women, people off men, but I just didn't realize that it's just a categorized thing that people specifically just go out and do that just because it's a woman. Like, I don't know, that was just kind of crazy to me. Let me know if you knew about this as well and your thoughts. But basically, to just kind of highlight some stuff here, because there's so much to get to with this case, but this femicide thing, you know, is, we really got to talk about it awareness wise, and just what's going on in Mexico as well as around the world. But you know, just saying, by definition, it's defined as an intentional KILLING with a GENDER related motivation. It's different from homicide, where the motivation may not be GENDER related. So again, and it's driven by discrimination against women and girls, unequal power relations, stereotypes, gender stereotypes of harmful social norms. It is the most extreme and brutal manifestation of violence against women and girls, which occurs on a continuum of multiple and related forms of violence at home, workplaces, schools, public spaces, including intimate partner violence, sexual harassment, and other forms of sexual violence. And they mention, you know, trafficking, which we know goes down a lot in Mexico. But again, back to, like, I don't know why they specifically are jumping to say that this case is that right away, right off the rip. And there's varying you know, theories and such. Like I said, there's stuff about her ex, which you'll see. There's another video where they're saying, hey, she did a video recently where she had a teddy bear and she covered the name on it because it's her ex. And there's some other stuff too, if people could translate and help me out, where it was reported, allegedly, it looks official to me though, that recently she had shared via social media that she had gotten threats from her ex. There's DMs and all kinds of stuff. And then that video where she covers the name, they're saying that was her ex's name. I don't know. We know the authorities saw the face of a person who did this, but they're just being very quiet about the investigation, period. But to just kind of wrap up the femicide stuff, again, I just don't understand why then couples, where over relationship drama and stuff, is that's not really motivated specifically by GENDER, right? It's by relationship drama and someone not dealing with emotions and anger and stuff like that properly. So what do you think with this case, why they're labeling that, the reports about the motorcycle and the contract stuff? I guess that's similar to this mayoral candidate in maybe other cases in the past when cartels or organized crime were involved, but they're just being so hush about it all. But that other report, like I said, they're talking about organized crime and all that, right? And that 2 people showed up and they had a gift. It's like, was that the piglet? Was that the gift? And I don't know, with this other recent video with the teddy bear, is that a normal thing that she does on her stream, is have stuffed animals, so they knew that and that was a way to get at her? I don't know. It's just all so creepy and scary. But check this out, right? In this report, they're saying the opposite about cartels and stuff, right? According to a spokesperson for the Jalisco's prosecutor's office, the man accused of committing the crime showed up at the site of the MURD3R before Marquez had arrived and asked directly for her. He returned to the salon later that day, which is when the MURD3R occurred, as recorded in the video. The suspect's name has not been released, and the KILLING is not currently being investigated as related to cartels in the area. Just days earlier, another woman mayoral candidate. So I might have already read this, but they're speaking about that, and I don't know. It's just like different varying reports coming out. And then, as I stated, you got the thing about the ex, but again, that's allegedly, for those out there bilingual and all that, commented, or if not, I can hit translate. I just was kind of on the fly, and it was kind of a little tricky to do with those posts with different fonts and things of that nature. But I don't know. They've seen the person on the phone. They saying they have a suspect with a name, but this has been going on a few weeks. And in those reports, they're saying, no, they're not cartel related. Is this person on the run? Did they question them, but they weren't able to get them to confess, and they don't have enough evidence? I mean, I don't know. You'd think from the person's face being on video, that would really have the investigation like shaking and moving and a lot of progress happening. But who knows? Like we were talking about, the reports of the authorities just being unsuccessful. It's just so scary, creepy, sad, tragic, and bugged out. 23 years old. She's modeling, doing social media, living her life. And someone shows up to her salon and, she loses her life that way. It's just so bugged out. And then, like I was saying, there's so many reports of femicides in Mexico. And again, stay tuned to the end. We got that clip about the cartels. That'll be at the very conclusion of the video. But something else I wanted to point out in the midst of all this, right? AI is on the rise. It's all over social media, Twitter, X. They got the Grok. I think Facebook has one. Everything seems to have some form of AI. And it's like those ones through social media have like specific standards to not do unethical things, and they're good for fact checking and stuff like that. But someone else used a deep fake to make a video of this girl, which is fake, confessing that she faked her DEATH. Like, can you believe that? Like, whoever did that, you're just like, what's wrong with you, man? You know what I mean? And you'll see the AI here responding to someone who asked him, because the video looks pretty legit, and she's in it fake, a deep fake, confessing that she faked it all. Like, again, you're just so foul, whoever did this. But this is from the AI saying, Mexican influencer Valeria Marquez was brutally MURD3R'd, but now a fake AI video is circulating where she supposedly confesses to faking her DEATH. And again, this is AI breaking this down. The AI on the social medias won't do ish like this, but other programs that people have that aren't regulated, will. Not only is this disrespectful to her memory and family, it also demonstrates the power and danger of deep fakes. What will the world's governments do about this technology, which is already being used to manipulate, defraud, and distort the truth? AI misused is not the future. It is the present. And I mean, that's why you got to fact check things and look into stuff, man. There's a lot of BS out there. And in a lot of ways, it can fool you. But if you know what you're looking for and you just get in the habit of fact checking things and stuff like that, you can spot this stuff. And whoever did that, you're a piece of garbage, man. But with all that being said, that pretty much is all I really have on this. 3 weeks in, the police got a name, varying reports about cartels or what exactly happened. Then the social media reports about an ex. Then, as I stated, you hear how, people trying to work to change things are saying just not enough MURDERs and FEMICIDEs that happen get solved. The police, law enforcement in Mexico, they're saying just doesn't produce results enough. Witnesses aren't safe, and among other issues that they have. So let's discuss all this in the comments. Hopefully they bring someone to justice. And I don't know, like, what could be the motive? Is it just, are they correct that it is indeed just femicide because she's a woman? Because, I don't know, someone's a woman hater and just wanted to offer. But then, as I was telling you, there's that classification of relationship, KILLINGS, is falling under femicide, which again, it just doesn't seem like the exact same thing to me. And here's a little bit about it here, right? It says women are most likely to be off by those closest to them, right? In many cases, only GENDER related killings are perpetrated by an intimate partner or family member are counted as femicides. Yet we know that gender-related KILLINGS take place in many contexts beyond the private sphere. They can be related to rape, sexual violence by someone unknown to the victim, linked to harmful practices such as female genital mutilation. So disgusting and twisted and just barbaric. It just sickens me, some of the stuff that goes on, man. Or so-called honor, KILLINGS. I have no idea what that is. A result of hate crimes linked to sexual orientation or GENDER identity, or connected with armed conflict, gangs, human trafficking, and other forms of organized crime. So like you see what I was saying there, they say, yeah, it falls under that, but it's not the exact same thing. But all the reports in regards to this situation are saying it's being, investigated as femicide. So it could be the ex, or it could be something totally different. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But, I want to hear everyone's thoughts, your theories, all that. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the buttons. Hopefully justice does indeed happen for this girl. RIP to her. I mean, it's sad for anyone to lose their life. But, you see this woman's just living her life. Modeling, salon, internet influencer, doing live streams, happy. And, this tragic, horrific thing happens. It's just really chilling. It's truly scary. This just freaked me out. I'm keeping it real. And then aside from that, the mayoral candidate who was offed on a Facebook live stream. And here I'm going to leave you with that cartel violence clip. And, how the codes are kind of out the window. And, I had been hearing a lot of people that I know that vacation to Mexico somewhat often, were saying, hey, they always tell you to stay. This is over the past few years, like, hey, stay on the resort. Like, they extra stress that it's really, really not safe in a major way. And there was a lot of stuff that leaked out to the news about this. And, you'll hear how they're saying in Mexico, Trump's policies and work are showing results. So subscribe, let's talk. Here's that clip, y'all. RIP Valeria.
When you were in Sinaloa, we don't know whether Vivian was caught up in any drugs thing, but she was killed. She's dead. What kind of atmosphere did you feel there? I mean, you were obviously, following various military and other units. You spoke to the cartel people. What's the general atmosphere?
Yeah, I mean, obviously completely heart-wrenching to see this mother burying her own daughter, to see this woman burying her baby sister. And what you didn't see in the footage there, but what happened was that just a few meters away, there was another funeral taking place. We were on the ground for just a few days, and every single night there was violence erupting there. So it is still extremely dangerous. People getting caught up in cartel shootouts, and then there's a lot of collateral damage, as we've seen. Men, women, and children are getting caught up.
I was actually fascinated by what I believe the sister said to you was that in the past years, because I mean, drug cartels have been there forever, there was a sort of an unspoken rule that women and children are not targeted. Yeah. And it's changed.
It's changed because this alliance between these two factions of the Sinaloa cartel have broken down. And so now violence is just everywhere. Thousands of people have been killed. Hundreds of people are disappearing, as we saw Alma's sister disappear before her body was then sadly discovered. And so, yeah, this is really a complete breakdown of society, and it's impacting every facet of society there. We spoke to a school principal who was saying that attendance is right down. Children are afraid to show up to school. The nightlife, which is actually normally very vibrant, very famous there in Culiacan, has almost disappeared. It's very, very eerie. You saw we were with the paramedics there as they're responding to violent incidents on an almost nightly basis.
So, I mean, everybody is involved in one way or another. What made the cartel member talk to you?
Well, this was weeks and weeks of our contact on the ground, who is from Culiacan, went to school with a lot of these people who ended up joining the cartel itself, negotiating with them, talking with them, reassuring him that we weren't the DEA, we weren't the CIA, we weren't law enforcement, we weren't about to do anything to him. And eventually, he sat down with us. I've been reporting on the Sinaloa and on other criminal gangs for a long time in Mexico. And, I was really surprised to hear him say that their position has been weakened, that, as you saw, he said, we have respect for Donald Trump for putting pressure on the Mexican government through the form of tariffs, through the form of...
Against their own interests.
Yeah, but he says that this is something that is working there. What we also need to bear in mind is that President Claudia Sheinbaum has a very different attitude to her predecessor, who had a hugs, not bullets attitude to the cartels. And so in the first 6 months of her presidency, she's arrested over 17,000 high-impact criminals, including a lot of cartel members, seized over 140 tons of drugs. And so this has had a real impact there.
I wonder if they're afraid of getting those famous, U.S. military strikes, the threat. But what I found interesting was the cartel member you spoke to essentially said, when you said, what do you think about, Trump's methods? And he said, well, my respect. And you said, why? And he said, because he's trying to do the best for his people. But then he said, it's his people, essentially the Americans, who are keeping this industry, this illegal industry going, because they're the addicts. They're the ones who are buying it.
Exactly. And what he was also saying is that, they are responding to this by being increasingly agile. You've got to remember, this is one of the most powerful criminal networks in the world. And they have many, many years of experience in evading the authorities, moving production outside of the state, as they told us they were doing now, using smaller production facilities, smaller, more mobile equipment. And yeah, they said that for as long as President Trump is not addressing the bigger issue of addiction in the US, then they will continue feeding that demand.
It's an endless cycle. Isabel Young,